We had a show 24 hours ago, right here, up in Adams, back from Vegas, so excited. We spent a good amount of that hour hyping up the Super Bowl parade. Kansas City, a place, and people I know very well, place not unfamiliar with what a parade is, what it means, the pure joy of it. I have covered 8 parades for the NFL. I got to be part of one for one. It was like the time of my life, one of my absolute favorite memories, not even NFL memories. And when you cover them and you go to them and you talk to players about them, even Vernon Davis, who was on our show yesterday, reliving his glory with Peyton Manning and what it meant, it is always the same answer from a player. It is, and a fan. It is always the most joyous part of the Super Bowl experience. Not the confetti, not the Lombardi, not any of it. It is the apex. It is the highest point. It's the peak. Ask anyone. It's when everything slows down, the players who haven't slept, who they haven't stopped to think about it. It's the best part. You get recognized. I remember after one Super Bowl asking a group of guys, what was the parade like? And I'll never forget a group of champions telling me it is the closest to being a superhero that there is, that they feel like. And yesterday, this pure joy thing changed and changed forever. The most incredible moment flipped to the most unimaginable and terrifying. The superheroes were players and coaches, sure, but citizens and courageous fans and emergency responders and doctors now who are fighting. What a heartbreaking thing. And it's senseless, and I don't really know what to say because guess what? It's all been said. Okay, and my heart goes out to Kansas City. It's like a second home to me, always has been. And my heart goes out to the people it should go out to, the family of LISA LOPEZ-GALVAN, a mom who had 2 kids, a local DJ who hosted a show for 90.1 KKFI in Kansas City, beloved by the community there. To the Kansas City Police Department, Fire Department, everyone fighting to help at least 22 victims, 8 who have reportedly sustained life-threatening injuries, to at least 11 of those 22 victims who were between the ages of 6 and 15, according to Children's Mercy Hospital. This is so effed up. If you're feeling like I am, you're probably feeling helpless and sad and emotional and like downhearted is like the way to describe it. You're probably also wondering how to help right now. If you were there and you saw anything, you know anything, police are asking for more witnesses to come forward. We don't know what happened. We don't know why it happened. We don't know any of the information. They need your help. They need information, please. If you were there, do that. And if you can, we're seeing traffic as far as donations go to Children's Mercy Hospital in Kansas City, where people are doing their thing right now. They are treating so many of these victims. That's the link right there, support.childrensmercy.org. We do KKFI on the show. The show's donating $1,000. I'm donating personally the same on top of that. If you can throw anything their way, thoughts, prayers, sure. If you can do anything, you can go ahead and donate on the screen. And we had Chiefs players reacting to this tragedy, along with the rest of us and the rest of the NFL world. Mahomes, of course, praying for Kansas City. We had pretty much everybody, have something to say at some point. Travis Kelce said, "I'm heartbroken over the tragedy that took place today. My heart is with all who came out to celebrate with us and have been affected. Kansas City mean the world to me." A special place. 1 million people were slated to show up for this. Beautiful conditions. The sun was shining. Trey Smith saying, "My thoughts and prayers with everyone affected by today's incidents." A huge thank you to the first responders who ran towards the sound of danger. You're the ones who should be celebrated today. Now, 24 hours ago, the crazy juxtaposition of this is that we're talking to Tucker Franklin from KC Sports Network. We're sending him on a scavenger hunt. Go chug a beer. Go enjoy back-to-back Super Bowls. And Tucker, I'm so happy and thankful that you're joining and here to talk about your experience. You were able to make it out of the Union Station area right before the shooting started. Thank you for being here. And what was your perspective?
Well, yeah, thanks for having me, Kay. I was actually on that west side of the Union Station just before it happened. I had left when Jerry Sneed got the mic. From my previous years of experience from Super Bowl parades, I knew that Pershing Road, the road that runs right in front of Union Station, was going to get pretty crowded. I had to get to the other side of the city. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and turn around, walk right now. When I was walking, probably less than a minute after I started walking past a couple food trucks, I heard the shots ring out. I thought it was fireworks personally, just because I knew that it was the end of the ceremony, and I think that from other people that I've heard their accounts of, they kind of thought it was the same thing, but they didn't see any fireworks type of deal because it was the end of, it was the culmination of it. So I thought it was fireworks. I kept walking, and then I turned around and I just saw uh, people running, and just the look in their eye. It's just like, what I've told people is I've never seen people react like that before. And that was one of the things where I realized that it was very real. People were running with no direction of where to run. They were just running to get away. Fortunately, I turned down a wrong road. When I was trying to make my way out of there, turned actually down into the other side of that parking garage. And I was trying to figure out a way to get across the railroad tracks that were right there. And then I was able to make my way out towards the past the IRS building, and up and across. I think it's Pennyway, which is the road that goes across the railroad tracks. But I can remember walking back up, realizing I had made a wrong turn, and seeing just a herd and stampede of people coming down the road that I had just come down, and realizing that something was really wrong. Sirens were going off everywhere. Cops were flying in and out of trying to get up there. But that was my perspective of it all. And I just knew another layer on top of this, too, is the cell service wasn't very good. You get that many people in one area, you don't have very good reception. So I wanted to make sure that my loved ones knew that I was okay, and I knew that I was all right. But it was hard to get any sort of signal out of there. But that's kind of the first-hand experience that I had at that event. Yeah.
Yeah, I was showing it, or I was tracking it, of course, as much as we could in real time on Twitter, as there were a lot of people there, a lot of witnesses, and, even people who weren't there who were hearing things from what was going on the ground. Somebody like Albert Breer, who is close to the situation, he wasn't there physically, but he was tweeting that Chiefs players like Blaine Gabbert, Trey Smith, who we just saw the tweet from, they were helping calm children down on their way out and trying to get to safety. There's reports, there's a report that Andy Reid was involved as well in helping. What do you think about that? I know this city, you know this city, and it is incredible that these, players and coaches, let alone the attacking linebacker fans out there doing their things as bravely as possible, showed up in this moment.
It really is quite incredible. When you just talk about the spirit of the city, Kay, you talked about knowing the city well. It's a very, I want to say it's a very kind city. I feel like there's kindness everywhere in Kansas City. The people are very kind and attentive. And I think even when you go back to just the players being here, I think one thing that Patrick Mahomes said about Kansas City is that they just let me be a human being, right? He can go out to dinner and he can enjoy a night. He's not swarmed by paparazzi or people or fans wanting him to sign stuff. Like, that's one of the things that he likes about Kansas City. Kansas City is very aware of that effect of these people, and to have the players of Kansas City, to have the players of the Chiefs organization, not just the players, but as you mentioned, Andy Reid, to kind of show that same kindness, that same love back to kids and children and families that had no idea what was going on, to help protect them. The story of Trey Smith is an incredible one, where he scoops a kid up and just takes him into a closet with him because he tries to comfort him just because he got lost, separated away from his family. Andy Reid did the same thing, where he is comforting a 15-year-old kid. It's one of those things where I want to say that this isn't Kansas City in terms of the violence. I do think that this is a larger problem to talk about. It just really hits close to home, because you don't know that when it's going to happen, where it's going to happen. But for the bad actors to be stopped by good patrons, by good civilians, is one of the things about Kansas City, to have people step up in a moment where they don't know if they're going to be okay. A very selfless act by those patrons to tackle him, to get him down and help the police detain these two guys, multiple guys. We don't even know the motives or anything like that officially yet. So, but I think that that's just kind of what Casey is so good of people being so selfless uh, when they don't know what it can impact them.
I think it's really beautifully said, Tucker. I was getting similar texts from family and people I know in Kansas City about Kansas City as if it were a real character in this, as if it was playing a real role in the response, the reaction, and of course, what it's going to be looked like going forward. I think it was important to say that, and I'm glad that you did. I just want to ask how you are. You woke up this morning, everybody accounted for, of course. I know Casey Sports Network, a very tight-knit family, having to cover this thing.
Yeah. No, I'm good. All things considered, I'm good. My heart goes out to all the 22 injured, the one dead, as you mentioned before I came on. But thankful that I was not where I could have been, that I left when I did, and all things considered, I think I'm all right.
And you, of course, talking about LISA Lopez-GALVAN, who we
Yes.
continue to send our love to, but there are people fighting. You mentioned these children, Trey Smith, Andy Reid protecting them. Some of them are fighting for their lives right now. So to donate to Children's Mercy, support.childrensmercy.org there. And as we continue to obviously take a moment here, and thank you, Tucker Franklin. I know you probably have a lot going on. Send our love to everybody there at KC Sports Network. Thank you, Tucker.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I really do. Just a complete turn of events from what should have been just a beautiful celebration. Nothing more beautiful than yesterday turning to such senseless heartbreak. So we're going to take a short break here. Thanks to the responders, the doctors, the leadership, and the courage of those parade goers in all that they did and continue to do. We'll be back. Backing up in Adams, Mike Pennell praying for KC. We've got outpouring of love and support, of course, from across the NFL family, especially some of these players who are trying to celebrate their championship after Super Bowl 58. Donovan Smith saying, praying for everyone today in Kansas City. Hamilton, I gotta say, Tucker Franklin, just unbelievable from yesterday to surviving that, to going through that, to coming on the show to share that. I thought was incredible. You know, you and I went to Mizzou. We've been to Kansas City bunches. We were just there as we're watching these Union Station shots from local news networks. We were there for the fountain and the draft and the warmth of Kansas City, and it's just unbelievable.
It really is, and it's so senseless. It's, you know, even still this morning as we approach 24 hours later, like it's hard to make sense of all of it. And as you said, the community has meant a lot to both of us. It's still, you know, I still do work with Tucker and Kansas City Sports Network, and just, you know, as soon as I heard just the worries about all of them and their safety, and obviously still praying and hoping for the safety of everybody that's still being treated right now. And can't stress enough, as you mentioned, anybody that can support Mercy Children's Hospital in Kansas City, and the efforts that are going on there by all those heroic first responders, doctors, nurses. If you have anything to give, please do.
It's really well said, everybody, and that will stay on our screen. So please, you know, if you can, in whatever way you can, support. And I will just add to that, police are still like looking for stuff. Please, if you were there, let them know anything that you might not even think is important. I would make that call and sort of say what's going on. We're going to talk a little football, as we do. It's what we do here. We're going to have, I think we're going to have L'Jarius Sneed on the show. Super Bowl champion, long time coming. He's been trying to join our show for a bit. He was, of course, part of this yesterday, and we'll ask him about his experience and what he went through, and then dig into some Super Bowl, which is what we're going to do right now. Because you and I, listen, we've given our love to Spags. We've given our love, we called it about, you know, Mahomes being the game manager that he was going to be, and if he did that, they'd get here, and let the defense carry them, all of that. I feel like the Andy Reid stuff, we could blow up just a little bit more right now. I think we could like make it a little bit bigger. His legacy, what this Super Bowl does for him, but from an X's and O's standpoint, Hamilton, what stood out to you when you watched the Super Bowl back, because you're a psychopath who watched it back on tape already?
Yeah, so to me, this game was really another example of Andy's evolution, and that's one thing I don't think he really gets enough credit for over his 25 years as a head coach in this league. Because if you go back and look at what he was doing in Philly and what he was doing early on in KC with Alex Smith, what he's doing with Mahomes right now is pretty much unrecognizable. And you can see it here. We'll go back to his first career win when he was with Philly in 1999. That's Doug Peterson dropping back out of that archaic split back formation, throwing a game-winning touchdown. That's Dion making a business decision at the end. Troy Aikman was involved in this game. Emmitt Smith. There's a young Andy.
Love it.
And now you look at what he's doing in the Super Bowl. Here you see Noah Gray going in motion, identifying the man coverage. This is a zone read play, taking straight out of college spread offenses. Mahomes sees Nick Bosa crashing. He's going to pull the ball. He has an option to throw here as well. With the man coverage, everybody's accounted for, but nobody accounts for Patrick Mahomes. So he knows he can just take off with this, picks up 20-something yards, crucial moment in this game. And then one of the biggest moments, we saw another spread staple. You'll see, again, man coverage here. Fred Warner on Travis Kelce. That's the matchup. We're going to see a mesh concept here. Again, spread offense staple, but with the two tight ends. That's Noah Gray running the other shallow cross with Kelce. Of course it is. And you'll see as this develops, Noah Gray picks off Fred Warner here legally, just creates a little traffic, gets in his way, which opens things up for Kelce even more to take off up the sidelines. And as I said, both of those plays are staples of spread offenses from college. These were things that we were running 15 years ago at Mizzou that I remember a lot of college NFL coaches, NFL scouts coming in basically saying, this stuff won't translate to the NFL. You can't do this in the NFL. Your players won't translate. And instead, Andy, and remember, we heard a lot of that about Patrick Mahomes when he was coming out in the draft, that what he does won't translate. So instead of trying to make Mahomes an under center quarterback running those split back formations, he took those concepts and applied them to the NFL when everybody else said it wouldn't work. And I don't think we see Mahomes become the Mahomes he is without Andy Reid and his ability to evolve.
You mentioned the Mizzou thing that you guys did. Do you think that was like an Andy Reid layover? Am I crazy, or did Andy Reid, wasn't he the offensive line coach at Mizzou for a hot minute, like 4 seasons?
He was back in and there are actually some coaches from our Mizzou staff that are on the Chiefs staff, Coach Andy Hill being one of them. I don't think it's a direct, we've seen now a bunch of teams are pulling it, but again, being able to adapt and fit and accentuate what Mahomes does well by changing. He didn't just say, oh, this is my system, Mahomes is going to have to come in and play my system. He really structured this around what Mahomes does well and built it around Patrick.
For 3 seasons, 1989 to 91, he was the offensive line coach at Missouri. It would be his final coaching stint at the college level. Though it's one stop on a lengthy and decorated resume, it was an important step in his career that Reid allegedly looks back fondly. I don't know why I remember that. I think I came across it when I was doing their preseason games in Kansas City, and I needed something to talk to Andy about that wasn't like the Grateful Dead and cheeseburgers. Okay, so 20. We did the math here. 284 wins he has. 3 Lombardis later. We talked about this a little bit on Monday. He's definitely making his case as the greatest head coach of all time. I know he didn't win until he got Mahomes, but he had success, and he had success winning with a ton of different quarterbacks at different levels of talent. So I feel like not many coaches can say that. And I do want to say that my favorite thing about Coach Andy Reid in all of this is that it really stands as a beautiful example of dispelling narratives and honestly teaching patience when it comes to not just the coaching position, but surely that, play calling and decision making, and can a tiger change its stripes? Mizzou, there you go. And, just the fact of can people rewrite their narrative? Can people have slow starts to their career? We looked at Andy a completely different way. Can't manage timeouts, can't whatever, can't win the big game. And now we're seeing this. It's a great lesson, I believe, in patience.
Yeah, it really is. And again, the way that he was able to, because he did have success in Philly. He went to those 4 straight NFC championship games. As you said, that label was just can't win the big one. And again, his willingness to look at himself and, hey, what can I do better? And not have this arrogant approach of just, I know everything, I've had all the success, but really, identify every area where he can get better and where he can grow and continue to build on that. And that's why we've seen what's happened.
Jamie Casperson says this is the most college football talk all year. Wait, hold on.
Probably true.
Hold on. We're taking a bit of a hiatus here on Up and Adams. We will be back in March, and we will be diving into the college stuff and the draft stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
Isn't the combine soon?
The combine's coming up. We're gonna have prospects on the show. I'll be taking these 2 weeks to do my draft study and my draft prep. So I'll be ready to to dive into things here as well. And we're gonna have some draft analysts on. We'll get into it. We're gonna get into it.
Is there a Mizzou person I should know about?
There's a few. Running back Cody Schrader had a phenomenal year. Defensive end Darius Robinson got a lot of buzz at the Senior Bowl. So he's going to be somebody that's a potential first-round pick. There's a few out there. Okay,
there's 2. Albert O is like the most recent, right? Ish?
Yeah. I got ish, yeah.
Oh, okay. We'll talk more about that, of course. Oh,
Super Bowl champ.
Who could forget? Thank you so much, Hamilton. We'll talk to you in a bit. L'Jarius Sneed is set to be on our show, and we're excited to have him if that happens. We're talking about Andy Reid and how the Super Bowl just sort of adds to the legacy of him and, of course, Steve Spagnuolo, who I believe belongs in the Hall of Fame. I have a feeling, a sneaking suspicion that L'Jarius Sneed will agree with me. This whole game, this whole situation, this whole Super Bowl resulted in some changes on the Niners side. Okay, Shanahan announced yesterday that he will part ways with defensive coordinator Steve Wilks. I've seen a lot of talk about Shanahan scapegoating here. I think Stats Guerrera has a pitchfork and he's leading the charge on that, and how Wilks coached a better Super Bowl than he did and how it's a bad look. I would never advocate for one of these coaches or whatever to lose their jobs. Let's bring some reason to the conversation, some pragmatism here, shall we, on a Thursday. Kyle knows he has, does Kyle know he has things to work on? I don't know, that's the scary part. But this move wasn't just about the Super Bowl. in that. Make it bigger, make it what it is. This defense has been a lingering all year, if we're being honest, right? This was the #1 total in scoring defense under D'Amico Ryan's had a lot of success a year ago. Add it up here, okay? They dropped to 8th in total defense this season, 8th. Wilkes was moved, as we all know, from the press box to the sideline mid-seasons to sort of try to like, let's figure something out. Let's add a little spark here, which is a glaring red flag that the head coach and the coordinator aren't on the same page. Maybe if we put you in the same place, you know, change the feng shui. We got to try something to get this going. We're better than this. We have more talent than what we're putting out on the field. You know, and are we forgetting the biggest reason that people were scared to pick the Niners over the course of the 2 weeks heading into the game? It was the defense. That was everyone's like, I don't know about the defense. Cracks on that side of the ball started to show, as you can see here, in the playoffs. The Niners allowed over 100 more yards per game in the postseason, 8 more points. Their opponents were converting 50% of their third downs. And of course, there was what happened on 4 straight drives to end that Super Bowl II. We've asked Kuechly about it. We've asked Torrey Smith about it. We've asked Vernon Davis about it. I'm not going to, you know, be like okay with anybody losing their job or seeing anyone like, oh, it's not fun. But I'm like criticizing Shanahan. Like I've taken my, you know, swings the pinata there. I don't see this as a scapegoating situation from Super Bowl. If you pay attention, I feel like this was sort of bubbling under the surface all year. What do you guys think? At Up and Adam Show, you guys can hit the YouTube chat on that. Wilkes was never a good fit for the team. Play calls were questionable throughout the season. It was time. 49ers playing cupcakes in the regular season. That has something to do with it. Reactive firing is very NFL. I would argue with you, Neil, that everything I just said shows that it's not reactive firing, that it's been going on for so long. And if you're a Niners fan, and I have a feeling, Neil Mechta, that you are not, and you've come so close to the promised land, don't you want your team leaving no stone unturned in trying to improve? I don't mind this. I mean, people are calling for Belichick to take Shanahan's job, but that's what some of the Niners fans are at that point of desperation, knocking on the door. Something big has to change here. I'm just throwing this out there. But if this results in reeling in a Mike Vrabel as defensive coordinator, do you buy that? Are you into that? And I think that if that happens, people will view this very differently. Okay, we're going to take a short break here, and we will be back. Maybe with L'Jarius Sneed to end the show. We'll be back with more sort of Super Bowl reactions and, of course, more on what happened yesterday in Kansas City. Oh man, I love these YouTube comments about Wilkes. A lot of people disagreeing about, but I mean, yeah, I disagree. I disagree with you all out there. You guys can keep hitting up the chat. Me and Hamilton will take some comments. I'm loving seeing this sort of people's mind work already into the off season. Like, I have not let myself think about Derrick Henry and his whereabouts. Certainly, we've asked, we asked Sean Alexander, we asked, whoever will come on and talk about it. I know he was on with Taylor Lewan with Bustin' and the Boys. They tried to get out of him with the Futurists. I don't think anything like super needle moving happened as far as that. But I'm liking the way that your minds are working on this YouTube with what this is going to look like, rebuild mode with the Titans, all of that. Gosh, Dalvin Cook. I mean, we're basically going to come back, Hammy, and we'll have the combine to chew on. No one loves hand size more than me. And then, of course, we will have to chew on free agency as it happens, which is amazing. Okay, we were at Super Bowl. We got back. There's some, things that happened that we can use to look forward to the offseason, like these YouTube commenters are saying. And first, we're just going to roll back some of these bites. We didn't get to dissect any of this. And Sean Payton was talking about the future of the quarterback position in Denver. Take a listen.
How does that impact Russell? Good question. We start draft meetings Monday. So everything you've heard and read about us, we're going to trade up, trade down. I can't tell you the jersey numbers of these rookie quarterbacks. Yeah. We haven't even seen them yet. So our plan to do this thing the right way is to really assess, hey, the quarterback position. Are we going to be able to find it in the draft? Are we going to find it in free agency, or is it in the building? I think that decision is going to happen quicker than later relative to Russ.
I'm thinking like Jared Goff was traded Super Bowl week. Alex Smith was traded Super Bowl week. So
no question.
Am I going to have an alert on my phone here coming up soon?
Look, the whole Goff thing took place in Cabo.
But I mean, it was now.
Yeah, and so
so we're waiting to have
that's
meetings.
Ongoing now.
Okay.
And so Monday, after the Super Bowl here, 3 days, we're in 10-hour draft meetings, and I'm sure one of those days we'll start with the quarterbacks, and we're going to read USC, North Carolina, whatever that order is.
Okay.
And here's what I do know. All right, let's say hypothetically there's 6 or 7 that are taken in the first round. How many end up hitting on? 2?
Okay.
So are we in love with any of them? Or do we just, if you're not careful, you get on this NFL van and you're on the van and in the internet and the experts and it's like, oh, this is who you're supposed to take.
Okay.
And don't get on the NFL van, just listen to it. Because if we get on the NFL van, we never draft Alvin Kamara. If we get on If we get on the NFL van, we start making decisions based on just.
You don't take Taysom Hill. You don't take.
You've got to be able to pay attention to the wisdom and the noise on the van and hear it as far as it helps us relative to the information. But if we like one of these guys a lot, then I'm unconcerned where people think we should draft him. Really.
Got it. So
unconcerned.
You are looking to fall in love with a quarterback.
Yeah.
He's looking to fall in love with a quarterback. I mean, I say all this to say this. Isn't that what Nate Burleson used to say?
Yeah.
On Good Morning Football, we'd be like, what? I say all this to say this. He's good. It's inevitable. I don't know what are we waiting for? He said Monday. It's already Thursday. They've been working on this. He mentioned Cabo, like Cabo's the place to get it done. Is he saying that he's going is he going down to his Discovery property that he's building down there in Cabo and having it happen? By the numbers, the Broncos, they're currently $24 million over the cap. So if they cut or trade Russ, they'd have to eat the dead money either way. So the only way they wouldn't get destroyed cap-wise here is if they designate it as a post-June 1st move. That said, he's a great decimal pusher. He's great at stuffing cap under the mattress.
He really is. And that may be some of the delay here is figuring out the best way to make this work with Russell numbers-wise, because it seems pretty clear the writing's on the wall. He's not going to be there next year. So that could be because it is a delicate situation. They don't have a ton of assets right now. They're already in that cap hole, as you mentioned. So they have to get a little creative here. And I do want to say, too, they have the 12th pick. They only have 6 draft picks in this draft to work with. So not a lot of ammo to trade up either. If they do fall in love with one of these quarterbacks like you talked about, they're going to have to dip into next year's draft to try to make that happen. So a lot that has to be figured out. And again, you really don't want to do that unless he does fall in love with one of these quarterbacks. So he may if he doesn't, he may kick the can down the road another year. And maybe we see, as crazy as it might sound on the outside, maybe we see Jarrett Stidham get a crack at this.
Yeah, I think he likes Stidham. We saw that. I think I'm trying to, this is someone who there's a healthy ego to this when he's talking about being unconventional and asymmetric and not, he gave himself a little Alvin Kamara right here, right? And he is that guy. He famously told me that Drew Brees was at the draft in the war room when they were looking at the board and drafting Mahomes, and he wanted Mahomes, which was sort of an asymmetric pick. And he had him, and he feels like, I think that quarterback, he was in love with Mahomes. And he fell through his fingers. We'll see what, only 6 picks in the draft, what they need to do to get that done. I have a sneaking suspicion he knows exactly what he's doing, when it's happening, what's going to happen, and we'll sort of get to that. The other interesting part, of course, is what happens with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's hanging out with Sierra and Kim Kardashian's suite. They had the coolest suite in the entire. They had the best vibe in the entire place, and he's just sitting there. And I'm wondering, are you going to be with Derrick Henry somewhere in the near future as a free? Like, where are you playing your football next year? Atlanta?
Maybe they were scouting out the suite for next year. Who knows, in Vegas.
Easy there. Aidan O'Connell, my friend with Hugo Boss, my fellow model. Okay, we're going to take a short break here. We do have L'Jarius Sneed on. I'm sorry. Super Bowl champion L'Jarius Sneed joining us right after this on Up and Adams. Finally joining us, I should say. Raiders don't get Russ, blah, 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 blah. Lots of fun comments here at Up and Adam Show. All this Denver talk, new season officially underway. I'm not sure the new season's officially underway. I'm going to say no, not till we get back. This is like our season finale, Hammy.
Yeah, it pretty much is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how it works right now until we dictate the NFL all season.
I think so. You know, they haven't allowed me to rename the the throwdown round.
It's true.
The divisional round, which is absolutely ridiculous. But we do have that programming note, guys. We will not be back, I think, until the 4th?
Yes.
Until the 4th of March. Okay, we saw the bite from Sean Payton. That was wild, thoughtful, amazing. And here, I loved sitting with Stephon Diggs. And of course, I asked him about his future as a Bill.
I'm taking my time. You know what I'm saying? Where I am right now, I'm taking my time. We don't know what the future looks like.
Yeah, and part of the reason I want you to get the ball more is because in big moments you shine. Mini miracle, like in those big playoff situations. I'd like to see you on a team that's in the Super Bowl at some point.
Too.
What does it feel like to hear your name involved in so many trades? If I look at my phone, you're going to the Colts, Stephon. You're going to Chicago. You're going to Tennessee. You're going everywhere.
I feel like for me, when I hear it, I take it with a grain of salt. We don't know what the future holds.
Yeah.
I really can't tell you what's going to happen or what's not going to happen. But I will say, however it goes, I've seen a video of this. I forgot who it was. However it goes, we're prepared. And I can tell you that I'm prepared. You know what I'm saying? You know I'm a professional. I've handled things like a true pro's pro, no matter what they say. Yeah.
Why do people have anything to say?
I don't know. Just for me, I guess I'm an easy target. I'm not going to sound flashy, but I am into fashion.
Yeah.
I am going to say I'm not necessarily outspoken, but when you speak to me, I speak eloquently. I know how to get my point across, you know what I'm saying? I know how to express myself, and I know how to get us all on the same page. So for me, I feel like being verbal sometimes hurts you. And when I don't say nothing at all, I think it bothers a lot of people.
Do you want to be a Bill?
Yeah, I mean, I've said that. I told him, you know, interview after interview, I wanted to retire Bill, but also that's not also predicated on me. You know what I'm saying? I also got to keep it in the forefront of my brain that business is business. And I like to proceed as such, no matter what.
Hammy, when you were hearing this, what were you thinking?
I mean, that was as open and thoughtful as I've heard him on this situation or really talking about any of these sensitive subjects. And, you know, I'm thinking it sounds like he's probably not going to be a Bill next year the way he was reflecting on things. If I had to take a guess at it, that's kind of what my read on the situation was.
It isn't, because then when I was asking A.J. Brown about being traded, you sort of see the hedging, because it's ultimately a business when it comes to a trade or something that's not on you. So then you don't want to be caught saying, like, you sort of want to protect. I understand that. Like, I don't know, it's not like, but you know, you know, he's wearing the lifetime hat. Lifetime as a Bill, I don't know. I think, you know, there's clearly something there. He was very full of nostalgia, almost. And when you start saying like I've handled myself as a professional, that's like it's almost like talking about being retired. You know what I mean? Like you're thinking about how it went. Did I do things? Do I feel good about how I handled this? You only really start thinking about that when it's the end of a relationship. And Diggs, by the way, if you want the numbers here, the cap hit is almost double this year, up to $27 million. Josh Allen's triples nearly, from $18 million to a whopping $47 million. So the Bills, they're in a tough spot here. It's $51 million over the cap for next year as of now. So there are, like, Bills fans, you don't want to face it. You don't want to know the math. But there are going to be some major changes going on there this offseason. All right, we will be back in just a minute here on Up and Adams with L'Jarius Sneed, question mark? With L'Jarius, Super Bowl champion. Gosh, L'Jarius Sneed. Next guest, as we continue to see outpouring of love from all Kansas City Super Bowl champion players, of course, coaches, fans alike. We've been waiting to talk to this stud, this star cornerback for a very long time, and I think, L'Jarius Sneed, you probably waited until I had to refer to you as Super Bowl champion. L'Jarius Sneed, how are you?
I'm great. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm glad to talk to you. I wish the vibe was more celebratory, which is what it should be, of course. You're at this, we got to start here. You're at this Super Bowl parade. It should be like the moment of pure joy, and then this tragedy breaks out. Of course, I want to give you a moment to thank the first responders, everybody who jumped in, and I think maybe just start with what your experience of that was yesterday.
Oh, yeah, man. I just want to thank, all the guys who rescued everyone and try to make sure everyone was safe. But it was a tragedy, something I never seen or experienced. But, praying for KC and praying for everybody, all the families and everything.
Did you see any of those? There's reports about Blaine Gabbert, Andy Reid, Trey Smith, helping kids. Did you see any of that?
No, I didn't see anything, but, I saw kids running and everything. I had a couple kids by my side as well.
And speaking of kids, I imagine this hit you in a different way because you have a lot going on in your life right now. You win the Lombardi, so deserved, so incredible. And you also, when did you and Bella Wu, when did you have this baby girl, like 10 seconds ago?
I had her like 10 seconds ago, really. It's like 4 days ago on the field. I had her on the field.
How did you handle both, L'Jarius? Both the Super Bowl, having to lock in, and a newborn. And congratulations.
It was kind of tough, but, I balanced it out, and, I got through it and got her a Super Bowl ring.
You did. I mean, that's a pretty nice first gift for a baby. Girls love jewelry, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, they do.
I loved this video of you celebrating the win with your family on the field. The confetti angels, you love to see it. That's your mom, Jane, your son, Kyson. They're all joining in on the fun. Just tell me, what did this feel like?
Oh, man, I think this feeling never gets old. Last year I had them with me, and this year it felt like even more better. I had them there with me, and, just the experience, man. My son, that's something my son and family will never forget. He'll cherish that for the rest of his life. What made this year
stand apart? We've heard a lot from Travis Kelce about how it meant more, there was more adversity.
Yeah, I can say, man, this whole entire year, we've been facing adversity. Everybody didn't believe in us. Like, they was down us the whole entire year. And we was the champs. I don't know why they was down us, but we had our fun this year. Offense, we all stayed together as a team. And, we got to the end, we fought to the end, and came out with the ring as the champions.
Do you wish you could have watched Jamar Chase watch that Super Bowl win?
Yeah, definitely. He probably was in the stand.
He probably what?
He probably was in the stands.
He's probably in the stands. I don't know about that, but I was in the stands, and I'm watching all of this happen, all the Chiefs fans. It's emotional, it's beautiful. And then I'm thinking, Sneed, you got to come back for the three-peat.
I hope so. I hope I'm here, but, you never know how it goes. And I hope I'm here. I'm just playing it out, just do what I do, just play ball, and that's going to come. Wherever I'm at, it'll get my best.
Well, you can't, LJ, you can't let Chris Jones tell everybody that he's not going anywhere and not tell everybody that you're not going anywhere. Are you coming back?
I hope so, I hope so. They can't keep both of us. I don't think they got enough for both of us, but, they're going to make it happen. I hope so.
You were locked up in a battle the entire Super Bowl with a receiver that I like a lot, named Brandon Ayuk, and things got a little chippy between the two of you, of course it did, but you held him to 3 catches for 49 yards. Not a surprise, you kind of did that to every wide receiver one this season. So many receivers seem to get frustrated against you. Why is that?
They don't like me. I'm aggressive on them. They don't like aggressive corners. They always saying I'm holding them and all that, but, they don't like that. And that's what I love about my game. I love to get in their head and get them out their game. And, the stats don't lie.
Which wide receiver doesn't like you the most?
I think Jamar Chase. I think he don't like the Chiefs, period. He don't like us, period.
Yeah. What kind of stuff does he say out there?
You know, me and him get very chippy. He got a mouth on him. He got a mouth on him.
What does he say?
I can't say it on the camera what he used to be saying.
Inappropriate. You have a baby girl now. You gotta watch. Watch what's out there. Spags, I think Spags should be in the Hall of Fame. So listen.
Spags we trust, man.
So get this. So get this. No coordinator has been inducted as a coordinator into the Hall of Fame. He has 4 Super Bowl rings now. Make the case for Spags to get a golden bus, the gold jacket, the whole 9.
I think he deserves it, man. Look at the stats and look what he's been doing. And each year he's been in Kansas City, you know, he progressive each year he's been here.
And Spags, I wanted to ask you about this. He talked about his decision to adjust, to play more man coverage as the game went on. And clearly watching, that's what made the difference. Was that something that you and Trent, did you ask for that? You know, and
yes,
what was
definitely.
Please.
Me and Trent definitely asked for that. You know, we play in zone, we get too soft, and we have like the holes in the zones. So we tell coach, man us up, let us put hands on guys, and they'll throw the timing off with the quarterback.
So what was the difference that you noticed out there when that adjustment and that strategy changed?
Oh man, the run game, you know, put pressure on Brock, and you know he got confused and everything. Spaz, he didn't know what Spaz was throwing at him. You know, it helped us out on the back end. Shout out to the front line, man. Chris Jones and all the other guys.
I mean, it was a tough day for those Niners receivers, but you made it easy on this camera guy. With the unheralded, nobody's talking about this hurdle at the Super Bowl. Walk me through this.
Oh, man, he came right before my eyes. I didn't see him at first, and I just jumped, trying to leap over him, and it was successful.
You said after the game that your defensive plan was to make Brock Purdy throw the ball. You just said y'all confused him. People took that as you maybe throwing some shade at Purdy. But Spags, and Spags we trust, he was really complimentary about how he attacked the zone defense, right? He said he made it tough on you guys, and that's why you had to switch things up. Would you agree with your coach?
Yes, I agree. I agree with Spags. You know, we just try to confuse Brock. You know, throw a lot of pressure at him and get him off his feet and get him guessing. And that's what Spags did.
I saw the footage yesterday of Mahomes and Travis saying they want the ball. Like, what is this? And that whole thing happened with the confusion in overtime. Where were you when you heard that that's how it went down? What were you thinking?
You know, I didn't see it at the moment. I didn't see it after the game, but I know what kind of player Travis is. You know, he's a competitor. He don't want to come out the field, and that's why I love playing with that guy. I love being his teammate.
You know, what round were you taking in, Ladarius?
I was taking in the 4th round.
Taken in the 4th round. What would you like to say as we wrap the show up here to Brett Veach? And I have a lot of love for your GM and what he's done building this dynasty. What would you like to say?
Man, pay me. Pay me. Pay me. That's what I got to say. Pay me.
Okay. I mean, I don't even know. I think that we have to wrap it there. Pay the man. Super Bowl champion, L'Jarius Sneed, of course. You worked so hard. Congrats on being a new dad, or a new dad to a baby girl. You, of course, have your son, Kyson. But enjoy it. Of course, I appreciate the love and support that you're showing Kansas City, the love you have for them. And pay the man. Pay the man. We don't want you working at Raising Cane's, you know, like you were this season. No, we don't want that.
That's not my job.
That's not your job. Your job is to make wide receivers frustrated. We appreciate you, LJ.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank y'all.
Bye, L'Jarius. And on that note, we will end the show. And that was our last guest of the 2nd season of Up and Adams, which is amazing. And we will wrap it up with that. So great to talk to him. Again, we'll maybe put the lower third here to wrap the show with Children's Mercy Hospital in Kansas City as we continue to learn more. I'm seeing new things trickle out, so definitely keep it to your Twitter feed and all of that. But if you can donate, please do so. Make an impact. Be kind. And I think everybody's out there is squeezing their loved ones a little more on this Thursday. We'll see you in a couple of weeks right here on Up and Adams.